Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Scientology's controversial push to enter schools with learning material, including in Australia. So they're basically trying to do hostile takeover of the elementary schools right now. Even though this is a few years old, you know it's still happening. Pacific Beat by Sean Monteso. Posted Saturday, 4 May 2019. Scientology is using an education organization to spread its ideology, propaganda. And this is happening in Samoa. In February last year, Samoa's Prime Minister, Tulapia Salale, was photographed alongside Warren Mayer, the humanitarian ambassador for a group called Applied Scholastics. Me personally, I say run every time you hear, those kind of titles. An investigation revealed that Scientology material is being taught in 6 Samoan schools. They're going for those third world countries. Experts warn Scientology is covertly pushing its ideology in schools across the world. It uses affiliate groups like Applied Scholastics and ABLE to obscure its involvement. There are 2 schools here in Australia that use the works of Applied Scholastics. The 2 were holding a textbook titled Learning How to Learn, one of 10,000 copies gifted to the small Pacific Island nation. But the friendly photograph belies a more bizarre and complex reality. I'd say sinister. But the media is always going to make it all fluffy. The much-needed educational resources for the children of Samoa were in fact books containing the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the controversial cult of Scientology. It has now been revealed, thanks to an investigation by the Samoa Observer, published earlier this week, that there are at least 6 schools in Samoa using these teaching methods. Applied Scholastics has also told the ABC that more than a dozen Samoan educators have traveled to the group's headquarters in Missouri for training. The deeply Christian island nation of Samoa, because they were hijacked, may seem an unlikely destination for Scientology to promote its teachings, but it's just one of many far-off corners of the globe. Applied Scholastics is seeking to expand to Samoa's Prime Minister Tulapia Salale received textbooks from Applied Scholastics Ambassador Warren Mayer in 2018. Sorry, guys. I'm reading on my tablet here. It claims to already be operating in 70 countries, including schools and facilities here in Australia. But according to critics, applied scholastics is somewhat of a Trojan horse for religious indoctrination, cult indoctrination, really, and is being covertly rolled out across the globe. It's no longer covert, just so everybody knows. David Turetsky is an academic and researcher at Carnegie Mellon University who has spent years uncovering and criticizing the workings of the cult of Scientology and its partner organizations. They're not partner organizations, they're front. One of the reasons it's objectionable is that it's covert religious instruction. It's teaching people Scientology. Why don't we just use children? Is children no longer a word? Did I miss something? It's teaching children Scientology, he told the ABC. But the organization is also believed to be exaggerating its reach and the success of its operation, a marketing ploy experts say is aimed at shoring up donations back in the United States. Yeah. Study tech, a form of covert religious instruction. The one and only convicted felon, black magician, occultist, liar, scammer, philanderer. Yeah, he's just repugnant. Applied Scholastics was established in 1972 by Cult of Scientology members and is one of the many umbrella organizations that obscure or outright deny their links to the Church of Scientology. Hold on, guys. The company claims to be a non-aligned and secular group dedicated to the broad implementation of learning tools researched and developed by American author and educator L. Ron Hubbard, CIA. What they don't say is that Hubbard was a sociopath and a cult leader, Dr. Turetsky said. Applied Scholastics uses a teaching method known as study tech. It's actually mind control, just so you guys know. An idea formed by Hubbard, which he described as Scientology's primary bridge to society. Thought they said the bridge to total freedom, which technically is a bridge to complete indoctrination and opposite of freedom. On its websites, Applied Scholastics provides several research reports published by the organization itself while highlighting a number of anonymous testimonials. Study tech is not a gimmicky, quick study method, mind control, but an exact technology, mind control, that anyone can use to learn a subject or to acquire a new skill. Reads an explanation on Scientology's website. But it doesn't provide much more than perfunctory detail on how its methods work or any solid evidence to their efficacy, and the material's contents refer heavily to reading assignments and generalized or simplistic exercises to enhance indoctrination, such as looking up the definitions of words the readers don't understand. I'm going to change some words, you guys, just because I'm very sarcastic, and it's just fun to do this. Your ability to be indoctrinated depends on a willingness to be indoctrinated. The biggest single block to being indoctrinated is your decision that you already know all about it. A sample of study tech's work reads, According to Dr. Tereski, study indoctrination is not supported by any legitimate scientists or educators. You can't find any school or education or psychology department in the world that supports these ideas. The only place where these concepts are taught are in the religious scripture of the cult of Scientology, he said. It's harmful, it's bad, mind control theory, and it's covert cult instruction. Not part of the cult of Scientology applied scholastics. You guys like and love how they just brush over. This is the applied scholastics is for children. Don't you just love that? The cult of Scientology. Applied scholastics is believed to be run by a group managed by the cult arm of the church. Applied scholastics has consistently rejected, listen to this, allegations that it takes directions from the cult of Scientology. And a spokesperson told the ABC it was an independent organization that is not part of the cult of Scientology or any other religious organization. Lies. However, you know what? I'm a Gen Xer, and I remember when I was younger, when you would read a news story in the newspaper, or, it was all controlled still. But back then, they would always cite who they were quoting. Unless it was a person that was, afraid for their safety or their, they didn't want to be hurt. They would call it, unidentified source or something, which by journalistic standards, I think that's what they're supposed to do. But I just crack up, especially when it comes to this cult, how nobody ever gets named. Bunch of cowards. However, the spokesperson did say the cult of Scientology's parishioners, what a joke. Everybody's playing some little pretend game, are some of the biggest supporters of applied scholastics. Wow, that must be a big coincidence. Wonder if the FBI knows about that. Of course they do. And that donations funded its headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri. Be good to look more into that. According to its website, which the spokesperson referred the ABC. Why does it even say that? Referred the ABC. Why don't they say referred? It's probably artificial intelligence. Referred the ABC hold on, let me get this straight. Referred the ABC newscasters for more information. Applied Scholastics is run by the Association for Better Living and Education. That's another front group. Another group created and managed by the cult. Abel oversees and manages a handful of programs. Applied Scholastics, Narconon, Criminon, and the Way to Happiness. And says that its mission is to rid the world of the most devastating social ills, illiteracy, drugs, crime, and immorality. Guess they haven't been successful, especially when it comes to Scientology. Through the social betterment methods and principles of author and humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard. That's the propaganda. Humanitarian. There's nothing humanitarian about that yucky teeth, greasy haired scumbag. I usually do not retort to put downs, but in that case, it's necessary. Now, you guys, I'm going to say this with a grain of salt because it's a bunch of baloney, but I will just try to read through all this craziness. Tony Ortega, a prominent Scientology critic. You know who said he's prominent? Because he's paid off, right? An author said Abel's organizations act as surrogates for Scientology's ideology propaganda and are also staffed by members of Sea Org, the religious arm of the cult of Scientology. There is nothing, when I say nothing, nothing religious about this cult. The only reason I think they're able to call themselves a church is so they don't have to pay taxes. Abel is the key. Applied scholastics cannot do anything without Abel's approval, Mr. Ortega said, and we know we can believe him. Adding that the cult has used umbrella groups for decades in a bid to obfuscate its activities. No mention of the children. You see that? These groups are not affiliated with Scientology. They are Scientology. In Australia, there are at least 2 schools using the work of applied scholastics: Yarralinda Primary School and Early Learning Centre in Melbourne, and the Athena School in Sydney. And we know what goes on in Australia. You all know what's going on in Australia with the Scientologists. Get the kids out now. Period. A screenshot of the website of Yarralinda School, which says it is a proud member of the Applied Scholastics Network. Yeah, right. Yeah, they like imprisoning children. Both have only a handful of students and do not present themselves as being associated with the cult of Scientology. I also think that's a liability thing right there, while maintaining that they are non-aligned secular institutions. A former Yarralinda Primary School board member alleged in 2011 that the school had taken out a mortgage of $1 million to help fund a new Church of Scientology headquarters, and was using government funding to service the debt. In a statement, Yarralinda Primary School principal Crystal Duffy told the ABC reporters, Yarralinda was not owned, operated, or run by any religious body or entity. See that? That's always their little liability clause. That's what it is. And honestly, guys, if I see anything else from Ortega, I'm going to skip it. A screenshot from the website of Applied Scholastics, which provides school materials based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. Okay, give me a second here. Just a bunch of propaganda numbers. I'm just trying to find what I want to highlight here, because I don't want to read the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to skip down. You know what it reminds me of when I see some of these goofy clauses? It's like, well, I grew up in a fairly rural area. I'm from a city. But do you guys remember when they used to have hound dog runs? And the hounds would have to try to find the raccoon? And there were certain things that, like a better hound had a good nose. But a lot of times certain dogs would get a little bit lost because there's little distractions, or maybe they smell a different raccoon somewhere. And I feel like a lot of the things that I read or I see about Scientology are trying to veer us off the path. And it's just, a lot of it's just mumbo jumbo, which always makes me know that it was a Scientologist writing it, or somebody who's directly paid off, like Ortega. Okay. Okay, it's all just a show for wealthy donors. They give incredible amounts of money. It's just insane. Isn't that also known as a, oh, I'm trying to think of what that's called. Tax shelter. I am not a financial expert, obviously. It's all being photographed and recorded, so the next big event, they can show these donors their success. No mention of the children. Like the children don't even exist. It's like all these children in the schools and in the hotels, like that they're ghost children, that they don't even, like they're pretend children. It's sickening. It makes me very, very suspect about a lot of these people talking. But according to Mr. Ortega, years of abuse revelations, oh, there we go, and some high-profile defections have dwindled the cult's membership significantly. Scientology is dying. In 1990, they had about 100,000 active members. They've never had the million that they claimed. The most recent defectors who had access to the numbers say it's probably around 20,000 active members. Let's break it down by how many of those are children or infants. As for Samoa, Scientology may have gained a foothold and the PR it needs to maintain a sense of ubiquity, but in an overwhelmingly Christian country, that was planned. Observers say it's unlikely to get much more than that. So that's it, you guys. Probably not the best article in the universe, but at least it gives us like a gist of what's going on in some of these countries. And applied scholastics, it goes on in United States, Canada, and a lot of countries. So time to get the children out. Peace, everyone.